Most people think a Roth conversion is straightforward. Move money from a traditional IRA into a Roth, pay the tax now, and enjoy tax-free withdrawals later. And on the surface, that's true. But here's what often gets missed, and what can quietly cost you thousands if you're not careful. A Roth conversion isn't just an investment decision, it's a tax decision, a Medicare decision, a Social Security decision, and an income planning decision. Tax outcomes depend on individual circumstances and current tax law, which may change over time. And when it's done in the wrong year, in the wrong amount, or without looking at the full retirement picture, the strategy that was supposed to help you can create a tax bill you were not prepared for. I've seen people get genuinely excited about Roth conversions because they hear one idea that sounds logical. Taxes may be higher in the future, so pay them now. And that can be true, but it's not always that simple. Pay taxes now is only a starting point. Once you decide a Roth conversion might make sense, the real decisions begin. How much should you convert? In which years? From which accounts? And what other costs might that additional income set off in the same year or even 2 years down the road? Many people never ask those questions. They hear the concept, it sounds logical, and they move forward without realizing there's an entire layer of planning underneath it. That's where the mistakes happen. Not in the decision to convert, but in the details that get skipped along the way. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the most common Roth conversion mistakes so you can avoid them. Let's begin with mistake number 1, converting too much in a single year. This is the one that looks smart on paper until the tax return shows up. Let's say someone has a large traditional IRA and decides to convert a significant chunk at once, thinking they'll just get it over with. But every dollar converted from a pre-tax account is generally added to the taxable income in that year. That conversion can push them into a higher tax bracket. It can increase the taxes they pay on other income, and for people near or in retirement, it can also affect Medicare premiums down the road. That's why the amount matters as much as the decision to convert at all. A Roth conversion should be measured, not guessed, not based on what a neighbor did, not based on a headline, because your income, deductions, age, filing status, Social Security timing, pension, and retirement timeline all factor into what the right number actually is. Mistake number 2, ignoring Medicare IRMAA. This one catches a lot of retirees off guard. IRMAA stands for the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. In plain terms, if your income exceeds certain thresholds, you may pay significantly more for Medicare Part B and Part D. Here's the part that surprises people. Medicare generally looks back 2 years. So a Roth conversion you do today may affect your Medicare premiums later, not immediately, but in a way that shows up when you least expect it. That doesn't mean conversions are off the table. Sometimes they still make sense, even when IRMAA is a factor. But you should know that before you convert, not after. Because one of the worst outcomes in retirement is believing you made a smart tax move, then discovering it created another cost you didn't see coming. Mistake number 3, converting without a tax bracket strategy. A Roth conversion isn't about converting as much as possible, it's about converting the right amount. For some people, the opportunity is to fill up a lower bracket before required minimum distributions begin. For others, smaller conversions spread over several years make more sense. And for others, converting may not make sense at all given their situation. This is exactly why blanket advice is dangerous. Everyone should do Roth conversions is not good advice. But neither is never do them. The right answer depends on the math, and that math should account for today's tax cost, future income, expected withdrawals, your spouse's situation, estate goals, and how long the money is likely to stay invested. Mistake number 4, waiting too long. This one is easy to miss because it doesn't feel like a mistake until the window has already closed. Many people retire and assume they'll deal with taxes later, but the years between retirement and the start of required minimum distributions can represent a meaningful planning opportunity. Why? Because income may temporarily be lower during that period. You may not be taking RMDs yet, You may not have started Social Security yet. That combination can create room to convert at a lower effective tax rate than you'd face later. Once RMDs begin, your taxable income may be higher and your flexibility narrows. The window doesn't close entirely, but it does get smaller. The best Roth conversion planning often happens before retirement income is fully locked in, not after. Mistake number 5, forgetting about Social Security taxation. Many retirees are genuinely surprised to learn that Social Security benefits can become taxable depending on total income. A Roth conversion increases taxable income, and that additional income may cause more of your Social Security benefit to be subject to tax in the same year. Again, this doesn't automatically make the conversion wrong, but it does mean you need to understand the ripple effect before you move forward. Retirement income planning is connected. You pull one lever, and several other things can move at the same time. Mistake 6, assuming the conversion can be undone. Years ago, certain Roth conversion recharacterizations were allowed. They were essentially a do-over if things didn't go as expected. Under current rules, that option generally no longer exists. Once you convert traditional IRA money to a Roth, you typically cannot reverse it. If you convert too much, create a larger tax bill than anticipated, or convert right before a market downturn, there's no mechanism to walk it back. That's why getting the planning right up front is so important. You want a clear picture of the likely tax impact before the conversion happens, not after the deadline has passed. Mistake number 7, not having a plan to pay the tax. This one is straightforward, but it's worth saying directly. If you convert $100,000 from a traditional IRA, that amount is generally taxable. You need a plan for how you're paying that bill. In many cases, it makes more sense to pay the tax from outside funds rather than withholding from the conversion itself. Why? Because using retirement money to pay the tax reduces the amount that actually ends up in the Roth. And for people under certain ages, withholding can create additional complications. The method matters, and it should be decided before the conversion happens, not treated as an afterthought. Mistake number 8, converting without looking at income needs. A Roth IRA can be a powerful tool, but retirement planning isn't only about tax efficiency, it's about income, protection, liquidity, and peace of mind. If a conversion creates a tax bill that forces you to pull from emergency funds or sell investments at the wrong time or reduce your income cushion, that's a problem, even if the conversion itself was technically correct. A good retirement plan should answer questions like, where will your income come from? What happens if the market drops? What happens if healthcare costs increase? What happens if one spouse passes away? The Roth conversion should fit the plan. The plan shouldn't be built around the conversion. Mistake number 9, overlooking the surviving spouse scenario. This is one of the most overlooked pieces of the conversation. Many married couples file jointly in retirement, but when one spouse passes away, that surviving spouse will eventually file as single. That shift can mean different tax brackets, different income thresholds, and potentially a higher tax burden on the same income. Roth conversions can sometimes help reduce that future exposure for the surviving spouse. But again, the amount and timing matter. This isn't about fear. It's about building a plan that still holds up when life changes, not just when everything goes according to plan. Mistake number 10, treating a Roth conversion like a product instead of a strategy. A Roth conversion isn't something you buy, it's something you plan. And it needs to be coordinated with your investments, your income plan, tax picture, and overall retirement goals instead of evaluated in isolation because someone made it sound appealing. For some retirees, the bigger priority is guaranteed income. For others, it's growth for protection. Or it could be about reducing future taxes. But for many people, it's some combination of all three. That's why this kind of planning works best when someone can slow the conversation down, explain the trade-offs clearly, and help you make decisions based on your actual numbers. Not pressure, not generic advice, and not fear. A clear plan built around your situation. So before you convert, here are 5 questions worth answering. What tax bracket am I in now? What tax bracket might I be in later? Will this conversion affect my Medicare premiums? Will it affect how my Social Security is taxed or how my other income is treated? Does this conversion actually support my retirement income plan? If you can't answer these clearly, you may not be ready to convert yet. And that's fine, because the goal isn't to move quickly, it's to make the right move at the right time. Roth conversions can genuinely add value. They can potentially reduce future taxable income, create more flexibility, and provide another source of tax-advantaged income later in retirement. But done without a clear strategy, they can also create unnecessary taxes, higher Medicare premiums, and avoidable stress. So before you convert, take a step back, look at the whole picture, and make sure the decision is built around your retirement goals, not someone else's. If you're within 5 or 6 years of retirement, or already there, and you're working through questions like these, where your money should go, how to protect it, how to create reliable income, this is exactly the kind of planning conversation I help people work through. There's a link in the description for you to schedule a free call. During it, we'll look at your specific situation and determine whether a Roth conversion belongs in your plan, and if so, how to structure it the right way, because a decision this important deserves more than a guess. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.